Yeah, well, we are having a look at what's being done to create a bigger residential community, bigger working community with a certain flavour here down at Expo City Dubai. We are speaking to one woman who has been involved in creating the future here since I think before there was a
10
spade.
years.
Yes, even in the ground. Marjan Faraidooni is Chief Education, Culture and Human Resources Officer here at Expo City Dubai. It's lovely to see you again.
Good to see you, Brandy. Welcome to Expo. Welcome to Terra.
Thank you. And we have been chatting to you about what Expo will do next, since before there actually was an Expo. How close is what you're doing now when we look at what the legacy plans were before Expo even opened its gates?
Well, it's really exciting to see how the legacy or future plans have been progressing since we closed our doors for the Expo event. So we're continuing to be the city that we promised to be, to where people work here, play here, but also hopefully live very soon here. So we're in progress, and we've been working along since the past 2 years, welcoming lots of events, welcoming a lot of visitors. We have 7 attractions on site. We're going to open a new one very soon. So we've been busy, Brandy.
I don't doubt that you've been busy. Let's look at some of the opportunities and challenges that come with that.
Yeah.
Because you're building a culture. And most cities evolve organically, don't they, over hundreds of years. How do you create deliberately a culture, and what kind of things do you weigh up?
So in our case, Brandy, we're lucky because we created a very strong culture during the Expo, and we're really taking this forward. And this culture is really centered around people, around inspiring people, around getting them to discover new things. So with, for example, the attractions that we have, like Terra, where we are today, it's about continuing on the topics that we always believed were important around sustainability, environment, human progress, culture, the history of the Arab people. So we had a really great starting and basis that we worked from the Expo, and we're continuing to build on that. And we build on that also through the events that we have. So for example, we've hosted a light festival, which was very cultural, promoted a lot of UAE-based artists. In a week, we'll be hosting the Sustainable Cities in Action Forum, which really takes forward our whole commitment to sustainability and continuing that discussions with stakeholders from around the world.
How do you keep the legacy pavilions themselves? And we're sitting in one now, of course, the Sustainability Pavilion, Terra, a huge hit during Expo. But how do you keep it fresh so that people who visited here during Expo don't think, yeah, right, been it, seen it?
So one thing that is really important to note is the content of these pavilions are timeless. So they continue to be refreshed in terms of the type of content it produces with regards to environment, history, etc. But it's also kept fresh by the type of events that we welcome around in these pavilions. We hosted the Lego Master competition yesterday, for example, and we continue to host events in schools. Like we have schools coming in the next half an hour. We have workshops. So that's how we keep it fresh, from the type of additional complementary events that meet the themes of the pavilions and the exhibitions that we have here.
The events is an interesting one, because Richard and I were discussing earlier. I mean, some of the events that you've been hosting are massive. I mean, COP, obviously, but also the Untold Festival the other weekend. As you become more of a residential area, and as you become more of a workplace, people need to get in and out, they have routines, they have schedules. How do you make sure that when putting on those massive events, particularly something like COP, in which security is a huge issue, that you're not impacting adversely those who are living and working here?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Brandy, and it's very important to note that we're going through a very diligent process of looking at our master plan to precisely make sure that we are living in balance with the events and people who work here and people who will actually live here. So we're learning a lot, and we do realize that we are transitioning as a site. So we're looking at things like where particular venues are going to be, how are they going to be not impeding visitors or people who live coming in, looking at parking opportunities, but also seeing how we could really make this place invite visitors, but at the same time be a place to work and live. And we've experienced it with COP. So we do have people who've worked here. So really working very closely with the companies who are set up here, making sure that they are not impacted as much with these big events. So so it's really about how we are continuing to plan, and really something key that we do here at Expo is we learn a lot from our experiences, and we do realize the different stakeholders that we need to be making sure that they're happy.
Okay, well, Untold, Rich was saying, didn't make headlines for all the right reasons, in that people were happy with the in and out, the traffic flow absolutely worked, and that's where you want people almost not to be talking about you, to be not talking about the logistics. What are you taking from that in terms of how big this area could be for future big entertainment events?
So, I mean, even after hosting Expo, one of our biggest events was actually COP, as you noted, in November, December. But we also realized that this place is fantastic to host festivals. And Untold didn't make it for the, made the headlines for the right reasons, because people actually enjoyed themselves. And I heard it was one of the best Untold festivals that happened since its inception. So that was great news for us. And this really solidifies our plans to become a place of events that can host these kind of festivals. And as you know, if you're familiar with Expo City Dubai, we've been having the winter festivals, we've been having the Hay Ramadan festival, we're hosting it again for our second edition, Hay Ramadan, in the next couple of weeks. So we are ready to host these events. And because our site is also built in a way that allows us to have these kind of events and allows to have that healthy separation between the different types of people who work here, live here, and play here.
How big could it get? I mean, the biggest travelling circus on the planet at the moment is the Taylor Swift concert. Could we get that big?
I can't say, but you never know, is what I will stop at.
Okay, so what else will we see coming out from Expo City Dubai? We've got 1 minute left with you in the next year. What kind of headlines can we expect to come from you?
So I mentioned Hay Ramadan is coming up. I mentioned the very important event, the Sustainable Cities in Action Forum, which is really solidifies our position as a place to host environment-related conferences. We also are celebrating International Women's Day, and with that, you will get to see our new plans for the Women's Pavilion that we have. We're also going to be launching a bit more of our real estate project, so stay tuned for that. We've recently had our launch for Sky Residence and Mangrove Residence and our villas and townhouses. So there's more of that happening this year, and really exciting. On the 29th of February, we have the AI Film Festival celebration. That's the first of its kind happening.
A diverse lineup indeed. Marjan Faraidooni is the Chief Education, Cultural and Human Resources Officer here at Expo City Dubai. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Brandy.
By 103.8.
Join the conversation.